Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, December 15th, and thank you so much for joining into our weekly PPACA webinars. For those of you that are new to this format, we've been running these webinars for several years now, and they really started just as a place where you could come weekly, meet with us weekly, and get your questions answered or listen to some of the struggles that other agent partners are having and learn from all of that. So, we're really happy to continue to offer these. We intend to offer them through 2017 as well. Goodness knows there's going to be a lot of changes in the health insurance market, not only in the individual but in the group market as well. So continue to join in and ask your questions. You can ask your questions in a couple of ways. You can either raise your hand, the little icon on your control panel, and if you can just, as a test, raise your hand and let me know if you can see my screen, I would appreciate that. All right, excellent. And you can also type in your question in the question box, and I'll answer that at the end of the webinar. So let's just get started into the agenda. We've talked about this the last couple of weeks, but I just wanted to really reiterate what this auto enrollment on the individual side is going to do. So many of your clients are receiving, you've enrolled some of your individual clients, and then they receive an approval letter and a bill from another insurance carrier. And that's because CMS and the carriers have auto-mapped your clients to the most similar program within the same carrier, or if it's not available, outside of the incumbent carrier and in a new one. So your clients could essentially end up with 2 issued policies. Of course, no one is going to pay for 2 policies, but I just see a lot of confusion and issues, problems coming up in our near future. So with the auto enrollment, again, you're going to want to make sure that your clients are aware that they could possibly receive 2 bills, make sure they're paying the correct one, and if they are on the marketplace, they're going to want to, by today, go in and update their income so that if they do enroll in a plan and accept that plan, that their subsidy, any subsidy that they're eligible for, is appropriate to their 2017 estimated income, as opposed to still being on the 16. So I hope that makes sense. Again, we're not done with this. I just know it. We're going to see a lot of problems, and we're certainly here to help, but there are some things that you can talk to your clients about so that they know what they should and shouldn't be doing. We had a bit of a snafu with Highmark short-term medical applications. If you recall, they had an online system that was pulled, and then they went to paper applications. The new paper applications came out with an address that is a business reply address that they've used for years. However, it's not, the mail's not coming in a business reply envelope, obviously. It's being sent in by you as agent partners or your clients directly. So some of the short-term medical applications have been returned to the sender, and they have since, Highmark has since made arrangements with the post office to forward those short-term medical applications. But there are still some that are probably going to be fall, through the cracks. They're going to work with everyone as far as issue dates, but please be aware of the fact that those old applications, short-term applications that you may have had up until yesterday, are incorrect. And if you want to get the correct address, correct application, go to our website. That's pretty important. But again, they're going to work with us, but let's just try to avoid problems if we can. Speaking of continuing with our theme of problems, CAP Blue Cross Sales Connect online enrollment system is not recognizing that pediatric dental is included in their plans, and it's prompting the enrollees to add pediatric dental. So essentially they're getting 2 dental plans. Capital is working to fix that error. but I wanted you to be aware of it if you're doing online enrollments with Capital. Next bullet point, January 10th. Closer than we think, right? We are having a Self-Funding 101 webinar. It's at 2 o'clock on the 10th. I encourage you to look at my newsletter and register, or go to our website under current events or scheduled training events and register. It's going to be, again, a 101 learning webinar, and with self-funding taking, such a lead in group health programs this year and next year as well, I would encourage you to join in and learn and ask your questions of our Star Mark rep. Group cutoff for Cap Blue Cross, we can submit up until the 28th. However, the 28th is, drop dead date, and that is the 28th by 8 a.m. If you do choose to wait that long, and I know some things happen that you just don't get those applications, there are special forms that you need. You need a late letter for the group to sign, understanding that they're not going to have their cards, they're not going to have ID numbers, etc. By their requested effective date. And there's also a special form for the e-check. They won't accept a paper check. It's going to have to be an e-check, which is an auto draft. If you are submitting actually now until the 28th. So be mindful of that. A lot of groups are coming through. It's that time of year, and just wanted to let you know there is still time. So there is a memo in my newsletter today about Cap Blue Cross's group loop message system. So any new groups that are issued will get an ID card with a sticker affixed to the card that includes a toll-free number. If your members call the number, they acknowledge receipt of their card and can choose to opt into the Cap Blue Cross loop. They're not required to call the number to activate their card or coverage, and there's not a requirement for the members to join this loop. But it's a loop message system that is a secure communication channel, and it's going to offer your clients periodic messages regarding their Cap Blue Cross experience. Messages may include plan updates, service notifications, and other important information. So again, it's something new that Capital Blue Cross is implementing, and I wanted you to be aware of it. There is more information as mentioned in my newsletter. I did mention this last week, but I wanted everyone to just hear it one more time. Geisinger Health Plan, their HMO and POS plans will have no Lehigh Valley Physicians Health Hospital organization as of 1/1/17. So if you're in the Lehigh Valley and you're selling Geisinger and you sold Geisinger to a group, you may want to let them know of that restriction and possibly move them out of that group plan to a plan that has a better network for them in their area. Next bullet, HRA provisions for individual health as of 1/1/17. I did want to mention it again because, as many of you know, back in, I believe, December of 14, the DOL said that an HRA cannot be used by an employer to reimburse for individual health premiums. They have since taken that away, and any policy sold as of 1/1/17 and later, an employer can reimburse for individual major medical insurance through Section 105 HRA. However, there is a cap. The employer can only reimburse up to $49.50 for a single or $10,000 for a family. And if they reimburse on individual insurance, your clients are not eligible for any subsidy through the marketplace. So, again, I'm not sure that I'm a fan of this change in procedure, but again, my job is to keep you informed, and for some people this may work, for some small groups this may work. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. And also, this provision is only for the 2 to 50 block. 51 plus, this is not allowed. So that brings us up to our open forum, and while you're typing in your questions or raising your hand, I'll just remind you that next Thursday, the 22nd of December, we will have our last webinar before Christmas. So hopefully you can join in. Let's just get to the questions. Bill says consumers can avoid the mapping process by using the discontinue coverage for 2017 and terminating their discontinued plan. Okay, so Bill, I think I'm going to unmute you, and if you could just maybe elaborate on that a little bit, I would appreciate it. Let me get to you, Bill. There we go. Bill, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, if the consumer goes to their 2016 enrollment, there is a choice where they can discontinue their coverage for 2017. And so what happens, this actually discontinues the automatic mapping process.
Okay. So you're saying when they log in, they go to their 2016 marketplace application, and there will be a place to discontinue the 2017 coverage.
Correct.
And you just terminate that plan or discontinue, and there's not going to be any billing issues.
Correct. Then you continue and do the renewal for 2017 for a plan that of their choice.
Oh, imagine that. Free will. All right. Well, thanks, Bill. I'll put you back on mute and appreciate that insight. All right. Jay says, I have found that not only income needs to be corrected for 17, but also the number of dependents on healthcare.gov. If you wish to either not accept the auto-enroll from a carrier to a new selection and it has been done on healthcare.gov, you must contact healthcare.gov to cancel the plan you don't want. The carrier will not do it. Thank you, Jay. I do believe that's also correct, and Bill has a workaround that you can cancel that coverage. Let's just hope all of it will. Oh, and Bill's saying the renewal and chosen plan will still be in force. So yeah, it's pretty important to either call or cancel that 17 application. You know, again, it's going to be a mess, and we'll try to help you as much as possible with it, but it just seems to be a mess. And Elise just chimed in. I mentioned the cutoff being the 28th. We are out of the office the afternoon of the 27th. So Elise says that she prefers to have them by the 23rd, which is next Friday. So if at all possible, if you can get them in on the 23rd, we would greatly appreciate that. It's a busy time of year, obviously, for all of us. We just want to make sure that we're able to process that paperwork. So please be mindful of Elise's request and get your paperwork in on the 23rd. Kim says, did I hear you correctly that if the employer is reimbursing through an HRA that the employee would not be eligible for subsidy on the marketplace? Absolutely. That's part of the provisions, Kim, where if an employer is reimbursing after 1/1/17 for individual coverage, again, $49.50 for a single, $10,000 capped for a family, that means they can be reimbursed for that individual major medical premium. However, there is no subsidy that's available to them. So it kind of defeats the purpose in a lot of ways. Tammy says, regarding the HRA individual health, is this allowed with the same tax benefits if the employee is enrolled in a MedShare program or non-ACA plan? Tammy, I don't know. There are accepted benefits to this provision. Let me just do a little bit of research and I will get back to you. I'm not sure. I have not read all of the provisions of that change, but I'll let you know. Jay says the auto enrolls have already taken place, so you must cancel. Okay, thanks, Jay. That kind of clarifies it. Everyone understand that? So if they were auto-enrolled for 2017, they can't discontinue that plan. They have, well, they'd have to cancel it, bottom line. Tony says, can individuals enrolling in a 2017 plan through the marketplace use a standard deduction for the other field of the deduction question under the income section? Use a standard deduction for the other. I'm not sure what you're getting at. I'm gonna, Tony, I'm gonna unmute you if you can just ask your questions. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can.
That's good. Basically, this year I have attempted to, well, in helping people with the marketplace, there is a deduction question where you have three options. You can either claim your student loans, alimony, or other. And I've had a few clients want to use the standard deduction on their 1040 IRS form and apply that standard deduction to the marketplace, to that application, that question. So I guess I don't know if the same rules apply. I guess where I'm at is trying to counsel them what you can use in the other field when you're answering that, when you're putting in the info for what you consider to be a deduction. Because in the income section, you have your actual gross earnings, and then you can have deductions that you can claim, and that goes against your gross earnings, so you have a higher subsidy. So I've had clients that have tried to, or questioned whether or not they can use, be as liberal in claiming a deduction under that other field when applying for health care as they have been on their IRS. Now, I'm not a tax professional, so I've asked tax professionals and I've asked agents, but to no avail.
And you know what? I'm not a tax professional either. I don't know the answer to that, but again, let me do a little bit of research. Both for Tammy's question and your question, Tony, I will respond to you privately, but I will have those answers for everyone next week. All right. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Dana says, what if an individual had their coverage canceled during 2016? Is there an active 17 application out there for them, and would they need to cancel it? Dana, I would imagine that if it is canceled for 16 during sometime in 16, that there's not an active application out there because they weren't insured at the end of the year, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I would say that with everything FFM, it's probably going to go a couple of ways, and there's no rhyme or reason, so definitely I would check it out. Nate says, so if someone was auto-mapped and then a new plan was selected after the auto-mapping, will the auto-mapped plan get terminated? No. That's what everyone is saying, Nate, that no, they won't get terminated, that your clients should call in and terminate that auto-mapped plan or the selection that they don't want. Jay gives advice to you, Tony, and said, Tony, you should stay away from that issue and leave it to the tax professional. I would agree with that, Jay. I am going to try to do a little bit of research and get an answer, but again, I am not a tax professional, but I can Google and I can see if I can find an answer for you. Tracy says that would not work because if you are using the household, you are getting the additional credit. I asked a CPA and they said by utilizing any additional write-offs could have them pay back tax credits. So Tracy says don't use it, Tony. So again, I'll do some research and get you some supporting information, but Tracy, who is a wealth of knowledge and knows this system inside and out, says don't do it. Britt says, just a reminder, if their 2016 individual policy was canceled for 12/31/16, open enrollment is extended to 12/31 for a 1/1/17. That's correct. Example, almost all Highmark East PPO plans were canceled as of 12/31. And that's correct. You know, we don't really advertise that a whole lot because, as with anything, Murphy's Law, people tend to wait till the last minute. But that's definitely true. That was true last year, that you could go from the 16th to the 31st if your plan was canceled and still get, you know, 1-1. And Britt just chimed in. He said, no, I never advertise it either. But inevitably, you'll get those 1159 on 1231 application requests, I'm sure. So that's it. That brings us up to all of the questions. Thanks so much for all those questions today. I really appreciate it. And as we mentioned, next week, the 22nd, we'll be back here meeting. Hopefully we'll get some more questions, and I will get the answers to the questions we had today. So as always, I appreciate everyone joining in. I wish everyone a great balance of the week and a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.